Hi, and welcome to Candid Conversations with Doc V on the WW Network, where real talk about real experiences and circumstances on career and workplace joy is the norm and not the exception, to help you heal, rebuild, and transform your life from the inside out and put you back in business. I'm Doc V, the Pivot Maestro, here to provide truth and transparency in conversation, to help you navigate career and life issues and think without a box. So, what is my why? To validate and create a safe haven for you so that you can begin to heal, rebuild, and transform your life and help you navigate the waters. It's to provide hope and freedom in thinking and being so that you may live the life and the lifestyle you were meant to live. And our topics run the gamut, folks. They run the gamut, ladies. All centered and built around revelation, reconciliation, and renaissance concerning workplace joy and career transition. Always providing that forward lean in toward mindset to help you define your path with one message. And that message is that you are mission essential. So if anyone has told you you are not, that is not the truth. So last week, let's jump right in. Last week we spoke about pivoting and thinking without a box. And so how did we talk about that? How do you do that? By changing the game. Remember, ladies, it's all about changing the game. See, remember, the box keeps you in, it keeps you out, or it keeps you hovering about. Whatever the case, you need to think without the box, because the box handicaps you. It keeps you in a state of survival, in survival mode. And, we came to understand that, the box wasn't meant for us. The game wasn't meant for us. It wasn't made for us. It wasn't made by us. And that we've been trying to fit into a mold all of these centuries. Since the beginning of time, we've been trying to fit into the mold. And so our next steps, once we change the game and we start thinking without that box, what's our next step? Our next step, remember last week, the pivot was to find your willpower, to find your strength. Find your willpower to find your strength. It's all about knowing our value, ladies. It's all about respecting yourself and your existence. We hear so much just, about, women being the lesser. Ladies, that is so untrue. We are more than. We are what? Diamonds. So know your value, respect your existence. And understand that, when you talk about willpower, it's you have it. You just have to discover it. To get you through the difficult situations. Just think about, those times when your back was up against the wall or you felt yourself near or in depression. What did you do? You're still here. Let me tell you what I did. I'll give you an example. Remember, this episode is episode 3 of my story. So I want you to get to know me, to understand where I'm coming from, to find your truths, your reality, and your resonance so that you can heal and start to rebuild and pivot into that next to new reality for you. So, in a time when I found my willpower, I was in a job situation when I was the director of a scholarship program at Indiana University, in which, I was going through some trying times. My upper leadership, male-dominated, of course, like most workplaces, and I found myself in an unfortunate situation where my immediate supervisor was trying to control everything when I was the subject matter expert. How many of you have been in that boat? You've been the subject matter expert in your area, and folks have tried to control or tie your hands with your ability to operate in the capacity and fulfill your job description or your requirements in the workplace. How many of you have been in that position? So I found myself having to change the game, not playing the game, not going that aggressive route that, remember, truth and transparency, that some people think stereotypical of Black females, right? Particularly those with higher level degrees or a certain pedigree. The stereotype is that we're supposed to not be able to control our emotions, to control that we're aggressive, that we are we act a certain kind of way. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, know have heard the stereotypes, right? So how do you change the game? You don't play the game, right? You continue doing what you do, being confident, finding that real power to press on and not play the game, not fall into the trap that is set for you, and not allowing it to steal your joy. Now, again, honestly tell you, that was a battle for me. It was a fight to find my willpower, to find my strength, to maintain my joy. But when you think about it, sit back and think, what's the option, right? Ladies, remember our mantra, strong is the new sexy. The option is not to flee, not to recoil, not to accept the role of less than, but call upon those feminine gifts that we have to remain professional, to remain confident in our womanhood, and do the job that's before you. And think about how you define your path in that. If you're in an unhappy situation, start thinking about, how do I pivot out of this situation? If you feel like your gifts are not being respected, how then do you find that freedom, that respect for the gifts that you've been given to exercise them? And when you start to find your strength, and how to use your strength in this journey, you will start to feel the freedom, the empowerment that literally lies on the other side of those folks who will try to oppress you or debase you or make you feel less than because you're a woman. And we know this is reality. These are facts. So I'm not telling you anything new. We're talking about how you change the game, how you find your willpower, how you find your strength. And it's knowing your value, ladies, knowing your value. The first episode, we talked about being a diamond in the rough and how everyone doesn't like the same cut of diamond. Accept that fact. Understand that fact. Reconcile that fact. And I tell you, when you start to reconcile that fact, you will start to find your strength because you're no longer worrying about being a people pleaser. How many of us are people pleasers? Recovering people pleaser right here. I had to learn that I could not please everyone, that I am not meant for everyone. And that's a hard pill to swallow, right? It's a very hard pill to swallow because you want to be likable. You want to, be able to communicate with everyone, but understand that you are not for everyone. And it comes from a heart condition, ladies. It comes from a heart condition. We know there's so much brokenness in the world, right? And there's so many people who have not been able to pivot out of that brokenness, who do not know how to heal or to even begin to start thinking about rebuilding, much less transforming their life, right? There's all kind of hurts, hang-ups, and habits that we all have to get through and push through. Understand when you're going into the workplace, that's what you're dealing with. And as long as you stay in the workplace, as long as you are not running your own business, following the entrepreneurial path or what have you, you're going to have to deal with personalities. That's a reality. You spend most of your days in the workplace. So You have to understand the game that you're in, that you're put into. And you have to learn how to play it with dignity, with strength, with knowledge and confidence of who you are. And where do we start to find that? In reconciling our past, in reconciling those things, those obstacles that are keeping us from understanding and knowing that value, from finding our strength. So, in part 1 and the beginning of part 2, I believe, I spoke about just my parents' divorce when I was 15. And I already had, I was struggling with big emotions in my little body before then. But after, just trying to figure out who I was in that broken identity of a family. We all, of course, want our parents to be together, but the reality is they are human. They are human, and they have things in their background and their past that they have to overcome that perhaps they have not even found their value at that point. But as children, we don't know that, right? So I struggled with that, struggled with the value, with the thought, and the feelings of abandonment of my father. Later in life, when my father reconnected, I understood. He shared with me it was his prayer that he would live long enough to reconnect with me, to see me successful, to see me before, he died. Rest his soul. And we had that gift. And I can't tell you how healing that was for me. But all of those years, those decades between, or decade plus between, I struggled with that abandonment in seeking the approval of men, whether it was in my personal life, whether it was in the workplace. And I just kept the brokenness. I was carrying the brokenness because I didn't understand where it came from. All I knew is that I was seeking for and looking for love, but looking for it in all the wrong places, and not understanding that it started with me and myself. Self-love. Self-love will help you get to that place, to find your willpower, to find your strength, so that you can know and understand your value and begin to change the game that was not meant for us to play. And until you do, you're going to keep encountering those toxic relationships, those toxic environments that will infiltrate the spirit and that will cause you to become a toxic person. So you don't want to let that darkness in, ladies. You want to go toward the light, and the light lies in the true you, in the truth and transparency of your story. What is your story? The world is getting so much weaker because we're hiding our stories, ladies. We're wearing masks. We're struggling mentally, physically, financially, spiritually. We're working harder. We're causing ourselves to burn out. And it's all because we have not found our value, our self-worth. By valuing how we serve the world and understand, yes, you're in an environment, you're in a workplace, you're serving that area, you're serving that workplace, but you are not serving a master in that workplace. And so many times as we're trying to climb the ladder, we find ourselves climbing the ladder. I shared in a previous episode about me doing that. You get burned out and you lose sight of who you are and your purpose. And you start to not walk in your calling, if you've ever discovered it. So that's a later episode. We're going to talk about passion and purpose and calling and all that. But when you're running after and seeking something to fill holes that you've not dealt with and you've not reconciled and you've not addressed, you will continue to just be a number and to devalue yourself. Helping, leading, and serving others When you start to come with that mindset, that's when you start walking into your renaissance, ladies. That's when you can start to tap in. When you start to tap into that faith and trust your abilities and just continue to work on your self-mastery, that's when you start to respect your existence as the true you and seeing yourself as a strong woman in whatever environment that you're in. Having the respect for yourself, self-respect, will allow you to stop chasing after those empty places, those holes. So, don't let others dictate your life. And more importantly, your direction. That's for you to do. That's for you to define your own path. But until we reconcile those hurts, those empty places, that heartache, that heartbreak, that loss, it is an almost surmountable task. You might have a little progress here or there. You might, have some accolades here or there. But that emptiness, that lack of fulfillment, that emptiness, ladies, that you feel, that frustration, it will continue to grow and grow and grow until you deal with it. And the key is embracing the gifts that you've been given. Stop trying to measure up to others. Stop trying to please people. It's a futile effort. You will never please everyone, and that's okay, right? Because what do we say? Diamonds are not for everyone. Every type of diamond, not everyone likes. So you just have to keep refining, keep redefining. So I shared, when life kept happening to me and I had to pivot. I was the executive director at the National Panhellenic Council. Then I pivoted into the university because I had to figure out, okay, what are my transferable skills? What can I do to take care of my father too? Because by this time we had reconciled. I found him not far from me, and yes, we reconciled. It was a beautiful thing. And so I brought him to live with me, and I had to figure out, okay, what can I do to take care of my dad? Because at this point he was ailing. And so I had to figure out, what am I good at? What else? What has life taught me? What areas have I had experiences in? What were the skill sets tied to those areas? And that's when I started to think without a box. I didn't think about what I'd gone to school for. I didn't think about what I was doing right at that point, other than the skill sets. I started thinking about, what are my gifts? What am I good at? What am I passionate about? And that, when I started to think about that and in that way, and understand that the box, was meant to just keep me in or hovering about, that actually stepping out and redefining myself, that was the key. That was the pivot. So I started looking for opportunities at the university, in the area I was in. And, I came up with, on resumes, like the competency section of resumes, I was putting those in my resumes before it was even a thing, a common practice, because I was trying to help people understand me. Because I had so many different skill sets. I had been in so many different industries. And I had to help people digest who I was. So I thought. But even doing that, I found some people just still didn't get it. And I remember going into interview after interview and honestly walking out, even while I was sitting there, feeling less than. feeling less than because the panel just didn't get it. You know, they would see the list of competencies, and instead of thinking without a box and all of the possibilities that I could have brought to the table for them, they were viewing me and my resume with finite eyes, and they could not digest it. Why am I saying this? I'm sharing this because I want you to understand, no matter how hard you try, no matter how creative you may get, creating your own box, there are just going to be some people who just do not get it. And that's okay. Because why? You're not meant for everyone. But you keep doing you. We're going into 2022, and the mantra is be true to you in 2022. Ladies, when you find your willpower, you will continue to find your strength, and it will sustain you through these times when people just don't get you, or when they try to throw up roadblocks to keep you from outshining them or progressing above them, or whatever the agenda might be. But you just keep keeping on. Lean into your strength. Keep your willpower. This too shall pass. Continue to pursue and look for your passion. And that's our next pivot we're going to talk about next week. Pursue. Pursue. I'm not going to get into that. But I want you to think about what we've talked about today. What have you learned? I invite you to reflect upon just some of the concepts that I've talked about today. Think on it and the application in your life. What have been your experiences? What is the obstacle, or what are the obstacles that are presenting challenges for you? Person, place, or thing. Maybe you need to consider a move, a physical move, a job move, a perspective of how you're viewing your colleagues or a supervisor, or how you're reacting or responding to those individuals. It's so much to think about. So much to think about. But the bottom line, the question is, what is stealing your joy? What is stealing your joy, ladies? And how do you get it back? How do you take back your power? How? And then you simply start making the moves. You simply start to pursue. So, think about how this applies to you, what you can do, where you're at, what's happening in your life, what's holding you back, what has happened in your life that you perhaps have not dealt with. How can you start thinking without a box? How do you change the game? And if you want a bit of help with that, I want you to save the date. Come and join us January 3rd through 7th, 2022, for our Make It Rain, the Legacy event. Because whether you realize it or not, you're setting and leaving a legacy for those who are watching you, for your children, for those who will come after you. You're setting a legacy. And the question is there, what legacy do you want to leave? What life do you want to lead? What lifestyle do you want to live? I want you to live the lifestyle that you were meant to live. The lifestyle that is calling your name. And that's what we're going to be dealing with in the Legacy event. Dealing with our mindset. Making it rain is not just all about money. It's about mindset. So I want you to save the date again, January 3rd through 7th, 2022. Will be convening on Zoom 6 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Come and join us. Come and be a part of a community that's all about truth, transparency, love, and uplifting you. And visit our website at definingpaths.online to find out more about us, what we're all about, and how we might be able to help you, how we may be able to continue the candid conversation. Shoot us an email to conversations@definingpaths.info. Conversations@definingpaths.info. I would love, and I want to make sure I'm addressing and talking about the things that you're passionate about, that you want to hear about, the things that you're dealing with and struggling with. This is not all about me, ladies. This is all about you. It's all about the community that we are building, the global movement that we're building around the world with Win-Win-Win Network and the Love the Skin You're In movement. It's all about helping you define your paths by shining a light, by providing revelations, helping you reconcile so that you can step into your renaissance, your rebirth, so that you can redefine and chart your own course. Ladies, I hope you'll join us next week. Until then, I leave you with our mantra. What is our mantra? What is our mantra? Strong is the new sexy. Strong is the new sexy. I want you to repeat it right where you are. Strong is the new sexy. And believe it. You're all woman, but there is nothing that says a woman cannot be strong in mind, body, and soul. So I want you to remain strong. I want you to define your path and always, always love the skin you're in, and do not let anyone tell you any different, that you are anything but more than. Right? You are a diamond, and I want you to shine unapologetically. Wherever you are, whether you're in the workplace, you're a businesswoman, an executive doing your thing, or you're an entrepreneur charting courses, walking in your selfless service. But always do it with heart, ladies. Always do it with heart. Do it with love in your heart. Purpose. As always, I'm Doc V. I'm your corner woman. I'm the pivot maestro, and I'm always here to be my sister's keeper. I'll see you next week, and until then, love the skin you're in.